Hey, so I just finished watching Spree, and it was really good up until like the ending. I'd give it a 7.75 out of 10. I was originally gonna give it an 8, but the outcome of the movie and one character in particular that I found extremely grating, just kind of like BoJack Horseman, how there's one character that keeps it from being great and just really grates on you in the same exact way. I'll get into that. But first, before we go into the bad that comes in later into the movie, let's talk about the good things. First off, it's a great satire. Like the things that it touches upon of like uh the internet culture and how hate just overcomes any sense of love because it's a more powerful emotion, even though we all love to pretend that love is more powerful than anything else, when really spite and hate and irritation is much more powerful. How it addresses that is really cynically funny. uh and it's and I like how it does it in a very vague way. And the other really uh the other like satirical jokes really hit the nail on the head for like showing internet culture. It's one of the best movies like showing it. It doesn't get it exactly right. There are a couple of jokes where or a couple of scenes depicting the internet that aren't quite right, but for the most part it gets mostly the toxic nature of like the internet and how people behave like rabid animals on it. And there's some real depraved humor on there because of it. I feel like the violence should have been a little bit more grisly to make it feel like you're watching real life murders. But since they didn't do that, I'm glad they at least had constantly fake AF being thrown up in the chat that constantly appeared on the corner. Because, yeah, the murders were, the effects weren't very uh realistic or like grisly or uh I guess they were definitely very fake is what I'm trying to say. So like it was hard to find it believable. Joe Keery gives like a great lead performance. His character is super lovable and disturbingly relatable. He's like the most pinpoint accurate part of the movie is like how he has like his little set intro and outro, and it feels like you could really see this as like a YouTuber on the internet who takes things a step too far. It's like chastisingly accurate. And then we get into my big problem with the movie, which is since he's the antagonist, when we get to the protagonist, who is this stand-up comic lady, she is I hated her. Like I really did as a character. She does the BoJack Horseman thing that Diane did in that show, where she's supposed to be this positive force in the show that everybody in the universe just falls head over heels with, that's super popular, super successful, that you're supposed to love too, because everyone loves them. And because she's a minority, so you automatically have to love her. And she's quote unquote fighting for good things, but she isn't really. She's just another cog in the wheel of hate. She demeans everyone around her and doesn't take responsibility for her role in the hate. She pretends to, but she doesn't. She calls everyone but her pathetic, even though she acknowledges that she was once there herself, but she never lets anyone else off the hook for being where she once was. And it's really insulting the way she treats everyone but herself, like she's on a moral high ground that no one else is on, when really she's more of a terrible person than the serial killer. I wanted her to die so bad in the movie because I was so sick of her as a character. She's so like holier than thou. It's so grating. I was like begging for her to die throughout the movie, which sounds terrible, but like these screw the patriarchy characters are so grating, and they would just be the most entertaining characters to watch die, more than the racists, more than the homophobes. Like, I don't even care, even though they are technically more morally in the wrong. It's just like these are like such the special little snowflake people that like just really get on your nerves because they think they're so in the right. They think they're like the second coming or whatever. But then they just end up being bigger hypocrites than the people in the wrong. Ugh, just annoys me so much. Because they basically have that attitude where it's like every white person or male person is automatically a terrible no good person. And to be fair, the movie kind of goes further the into like agreeing with this belief because they didn't really have any characters that like went against this, so I don't really know how I feel about that. But like that's not the way it is in real life, even though again there are people like this in real life who treat it like that's the true, where it's like if you're a cis white male you're automatically a terrible person, and that's not really true. There are like people that are really working to try to be good people, and certain minorities just like to ignore that because there are bad people, granted, in every group. And if you've encountered so many people that were both men and white, then it's easy to not notice the ones that were good that were both white men. It's just hard to talk about politics without offending people. So whenever you go into a political satire, the reviews are always going to be like you have to tightly like go into wording your reviews. This review is probably going to offend someone because I probably word it not the way I'm trying to think it up, but I'm just trying to give my honest feedback. It's hard to like describe exactly how I'm feeling and what I'm trying to say. But like in these reviews, you always get into really touchy territory whenever you're talking about political satires because they're supposed to be funny, but they're also supposed to be bringing up scathing truths. And whenever you agree but also disagree, that's where it gets really difficult to talk about like, yes, I totally agree with this, but here's like where you should have done it a little bit differently, if that makes sense. So like, the it was just she was really annoying. And I hate how like no one seems to bring up like her failabilities as a character, even though everyone else's failabilities are obvious. It just kind of feels like even though we've already obviously had the white savior trope, it feels like now we've swung the pendulum back and now we have like the black female savior trope. Like this is a new trope we've come up with in the modern era because we feel like we need to properly like address that discrimination and like sexism and all these horrible things are happening in the world. So to fight against that, we need to have every single like minority in a character and have them be the wholesome heart and like the perfect heroine, like second coming character. And I'm sick of this being the new trope because we've seen it so much, and they always do things that are not exactly as wonderful as they themselves think they are. Uh, it's like an irritating version of the second coming where they always like harass everyone for being horrible, but then they're horrible themselves. And just because they're less horrible than everyone else, that gives them the excuse to be horrible. And I don't think that's right. So, I think it's definitely the biggest flaw of this movie, other than that character, is that why would you want to make a movie where the villain is so likable and the heroine is so utterly despisable? Like, you want her to die so, so, so terribly bad. Like, I don't understand the point in doing that. it kind of feels contradictory. It feels like you would want a movie where you would want to root for the heroine, and if there was anyone you would want to die in the movie, it would be the villain. And the object of a movie, like, it sounds horrible saying I want this person to die, and it's not like I want anyone to die in real life. I'm just saying in the movie, if anyone has to go, that's the character I'd root for, that sort of thing. And audiences do get their sick perverted pleasures out of movies through different things, and that's part of the commentary of the movie. So like if you're here trying to be an exploitive piece, it felt like that was kind of the direction it was going for a dark movie. But it didn't give me what I wanted at the end there. It gave me the exact opposite, and that really irritated me personally. Yeah. Also, was it just me, or for a stand-up comic, was she literally the least funny character in the whole movie? She was just like, lol, I'm black, and then everyone laughed. And then the stand up that everyone kept booing off the stage, I was literally laughing at all of his jokes, but everyone was booing him off stage. And I was like, but he's the funny one. Why is everyone booing him? Like, literally everyone in the movie was funny but her. She was just irritating and annoying. Like, none of her jokes landed, like, at all. That was part of the reason why she was obnoxious. She literally did not have a single funny joke as a stand up. I don't understand. Like, what went so horribly wrong with writing her character? I don't know. It's like the same trap all these writers fall into, and I don't understand what's going on there. It's weird. I don't know. Oh well, at least the rest of the movie was good, except for those two big pieces. Like, the rest of the writing was pretty, like, on the nose, hit the nail on the head. Like, everyone's just terrible people, and they all kind of just get what's coming to them, and they're all just craving attention, and just sad, lonely, depressed people that just want to be cared for, but everyone hates one another and just want to get their thrills one way or another, and it's just depressing. So yeah, definitely not a feel good movie. Uh, yeah, definitely a movie about terrible people, probably for terrible people. But if you're fine with that sort of black comedy, you'd probably enjoy it. It's definitely by no means a perfect movie, but it's still enjoyable and worth a watch. Yeah. Sorry if I kind of spoiled the ending, but I definitely needed to explain where my thoughts are at the end of this movie. It's just definitely hardcore where I'm at right now, and I'm just kind of livid about it. Because there's always that one character that is exactly like this in everything nowadays, and it really makes me mad. Because it's such a trope, and they always do it in a way that's like offensive, because it makes you think, okay, so white man equal bad, got it. So there's not even in the realm of possibility that a white person could be a good person. Those just flat out don't exist on the planet. Like, those just, nope. It makes you wonder, like, if every movie or TV show is written by a black lady that has never met a good white guy in her life. So she thinks literally the whole race of white guys are just, I don't know, evil demons or something, because that's how they're always treated in these movies and TV shows. And I don't get it. Like, I get that in history, like, there's like a history to, like, we as like a race treated them bad, but like me personally, I don't treat them bad, and I know that we've been trying to like work towards rectifying that, but there comes a point when, I don't know, I'm worried that like we're gonna get to a point where it swings the other way, and they get to act worse than we acted, and we get to let them do it because, well, we started it. Yeah, but I don't like to go into politics because I feel like everyone just gets offended one way or another. Uh, so yeah. Yeah, I'm usually not really comfortable talking about these topics unless they're like really heavily dealt into. But yeah, I don't feel like talking about this topic in another video though, because I feel like every time I try to bring it up, I'm always saying the wrong thing or saying it in the wrong way, and I feel like I can never accurately say, like, from my mind to my mouth what I'm trying to get across. So, like, I'm worrying that I'm just accidentally saying something offensive and not what I really meant to say, if that makes sense. So maybe I should just quit here before I ramble and accidentally say something that I didn't know was offensive, that I didn't mean to say, per se, that I didn't know had, like, a double meaning or something. I don't know. Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye bye.